actions and opening our hearts and minds in accepting that will be shared today in becoming even better Muslims, inshallah. I would like to formally open our Iftar 2024 with the recitation of the Holy Quran by our young brother Farhan, who is a product of our madrasa under the tutelage of Imam Wabi.
أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون.
MashaAllah, Brother Farhan, for a beautiful recitation. I would now like to invite the President of Al-Majid Executive Committee, Tuan Haji Adam, to formally kickstart the Grand Iftar with his opening speech. Tuan Haji Adam, please. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Alhamdulillah, in the name of God, compassionate, all the praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the world and the creator of everything in the universe. He also has been giving us this place after the opportunity to get together and Alhamdulillah. Peace and greeting to all of you. Peace and greeting to our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companion, who has brought us from darkness to light. And some of them, on behalf of the Masjid,
ingat lagi ada speaker yang kita nak buat
di depan ni tak apa. Cuba saya cari.
boleh pasang sekarang, boleh pasang sekarang, boleh connect,
Enggak bisa dong, enggak ada connection.
nak connect daripada function dua speaker ni mati.
Ai,
I would like to welcome to our guest speaker, Ahmad, Padbudy. all this, everyone who supported this, assisted, and made this masjid a place of worship of influence over the years. Over the years, and we have contributed anyway, and whatever to stay today. Thank you very much. And again, to also express my gratitude to the media who made this happening today, the organizing committee led by the ladies. So they've done a very good job. And thank you for the people who donated. Cakes, cupcakes, and everything. So I have and little bits of knickknacks and that's what I have to do that. And I do expect to be more than this people, because the Imam said 400 will be was invited to come. So hopefully they'll give us 399. Sure. But in conjunction with that, I would like to share with you the program or the future of this masjid, what we that we would like to sort of envision what we will do. Initially, our budget here is for the outcome. So everything's in the process of getting done. Capital goals has been approved. This matter of getting approved by council. Enough of that. We accept and appreciate people do tonight and just contribute everything that is happening. The second project we're looking at is the Gymnasium facility. That has been sort of in our pipeline for a while. So I'm going to do that in the next 6 months. Developing, but at least the approval of the contract. So inshallah, when it's about going, the council, I will share that with you, and the drawings for these for our activities happen on notice. It's 10 o'clock, look at it, inshallah. With that, again, I want to thank everyone who is not here to make this a success for our families, a success for inshallah. They draw for our brothers here, our Ramadan is accepted. They draw for the well-being of our bodies and us. Inshallah. With that, again, I thank you very much for your attention and thank you for everyone to make this happen. Wabillahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Waalaikum salam warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Jazakallah Tuan Haji Adam for that speech. Brothers and sisters, as you would have already known, our Grand Iftar this year is organized in solidarity with our brothers and sisters, children in Palestine, to show a gesture of unity and support for peace and justice. We aim to encourage individuals to not only fast, but also to engage in prayer, making dua, and contributing to charitable causes in aid of Palestine. Jazakallah Sheikh Imam Wafi Azaki, Imam of Masjid Al-Majid, for being in touch with our guest speaker for today. Al-Majid Mosque is honored to be hosting a guest speaker who hails from Palestine. Brother Ayman Quaider, I hope I got that right. Ayman Quaider is a passionate educator who hails from Gaza. Brother Ayman has been actively involved in humanitarian aid organizations directly engaging with children exposed to trauma and teachers faced with emergencies. Who better to give us a better insight on Palestine than our esteemed speaker, Brother Ayman. Welcome, Brother Ayman, please. I'll have a seat as well. Thank you very much. Inshallah. We just found out today that Brother Ayman's mom and brother just came over from Gaza. Alhamdulillah, and they are here in our presence. MashaAllah. So, so Brother Ayman, Ramadan Kareem first to you and your family. Could I begin by asking you to elaborate on this noble organization which you co-founded, Gaza Children's Cinema?
Well, thank you so much for having me and my family today. And I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owner of the land that we're sitting on today, the Wajanunga people, and pay my respect to elder past and present. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And I would like to extend great gratitude to my community, the Muslim community in Perth here, for inviting us to share a few words about what is happening in Palestine, specifically in Gaza, where the place I was born, grew up, and educated. It's just to start with your question, Brother Abdul Hadi. He asked about the organization that I established in Gaza, which is called the Gaza Children's Cinema. And this initiative is one of the many initiatives that are established to respond to the unprecedented amount of trauma and oppression that the Palestinians people go through, not in the light of what is happening currently, of the mass genocide that is unfolding in our eyes, but over the last 7 decades since the Israeli occupation started, basically 75 years ago, that the Palestinians continue to live in a state of uncertainty, insecurity, constant structural trauma. Not even one single day that is gone without children being exposed to this trauma. The initiative that was established was basically is in response to this, and we wanted to provide a momentum, a space for children to be able to be like a children, like my children here. I've got my children here, Tamim with me, 9 years old. He's born here. Unfortunately, the major Palestinian children are not having the same opportunity like our children here. Constant fear, constant anxiety, constant bombardment, inability to be able to travel, lack of electricity, lack of food. Leave aside what is happening currently in Gaza with mass starvation and famine, and people unable to basically fulfill their basic needs, as we at the top of that being bombed and starved to death in Gaza. So this initiative is basically came to light to respond to this and provide a space for children to be children, basically, in a situation or a place that does not really spare a moment for children to be children. Unfortunately, because of, as you know, 70% of the infrastructure in Gaza now, residential homes, schools, hospitals, churches, mosques, roads, are totally obliterated. The latest report from Gaza of the UN personnel has been to Gaza last week, reported that what he has seen in Gaza is total, utter annihilation of the entire community. So so basically that's the situation. And unfortunately, the initiative that we established back in 2013 used to run through community libraries across the Gaza Strip. None of these libraries now are alive. They are totally obliterated and destroyed. Similar to over 300 schools, all the universities, including the university that I studied in, the Islamic University of Gaza, totally destroyed. The 12 functioning hospitals in Gaza, totally destroyed. Schools, kindergartens, teachers, over 13,000 Palestinian children killed, over 17,000 children in Gaza are separated from their loved one, their parents, children just on the street, in the road. They don't know their parents are, whether they're killed or destroyed. 1.5 million Palestinians now are caged in the southern part of Gaza, the Rafah, where the Israeli occupation army is continuing to threat invading Rafah, as if it's not enough of what has been destroyed across Gaza from the north to the south. 60,000 Palestinian women, pregnant women, unable to meet their basic dignified treatment, suffer from thirsty, dehydration, malnutrition. Um, what is actually I'm describing to you, it's just a drop in the ocean about what is specifically happening on the ground. In the ground, there people are being starved to death, struggling to find a drop of water to keep hydrated, start eating grass. We saw reports of families collecting grass, boiling grass, and trying to eat to be able um, uh, to survive. Basically, if they're able to survive the mass slaughter and shelling and the killing of the entire civilian population.
Thank you for your sharing, brother. I think through that, definitely it's heart-wrenching. I think the only consolation that I could provide is that Allah tests only those at whom He loves. Inshallah. Brother, could I also ask you, based on your personal opinions, what do you think of Australia's media coverage on the ongoing atrocities in Palestine?
That's a very good question. Thank you very much for asking. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thanks. So when it comes to the mainstream Australian army, is no difference from the mainstream world media when it comes to the question of Palestine. For example, we have seen how the media has started from the 7th of October in wherever they host every single Palestinian or pro-Palestinian or an academic or a media personnel about Palestine. They start with the question about why don't you condemn what has happened in that particular date? So, but does not give a context, and the context that I had just described to you, okay, as if the whole history has started from the 7th of October. But they don't talk about the 6th of October, the 5th of October, and decades before this particular date. Okay, as if the Palestinians, they don't have the right to contextualize our suffering, our pain, our reality living under occupation for more than seven decades. What we have seen in the Australian media, alongside the mainstream media from the ABC, the SBS, the ABC, the CNN, the Fox News, all this mainstream media, is that they dehumanizes our story, dehumanizes our narrative. They don't often give us the opportunity to tell the story. And the moment they don't give us the opportunity to tell our human story, this means that they are contributing the dehumanization process and the dehumanization of our narrative, giving it the right, basically, to governments and their supporters to continue the brutalization of the Palestinian people. We have seen how there is a shift in young generation using the social media. And it's, by the way, it is the first time in the modern history where we've got an entire population, entire young population in Gaza reporting live on TV, live on social media, the genocide, the killing, the brutalization of their parents, their fathers, mothers, everyone, as they speak. It's never happened in the modern history where people report their atrocities that is committed against them live on social media. All it needs to take is you go on Instagram, on Twitter, on any social media, and you just hashtag Gaza genocide, and you will see raw footages of people being targeted, killed, starved to death, hospital being obliterated, teacher being killed, writers, musicians, dancers, artists, mosques, imam at mosques, churches This has all been widely reported. And what we get in the mainstream media is just only a fraction of what is happening on the ground. And that's the utter dehumanization, the utter disgust, I would say, where unfortunately there is a double standard when it comes to covering one human race at the top, at the other, and, in comparison with other human races. What I wanted to say is that we will continue to tell our story, we will continue to tell our narrative, regardless what the mainstream media, and we see the shift is happening. We see the shift is happening, and people, young generation, are more conscious about what is happening in Palestine now, what is happening in Gaza, because the killing of over 31,000 Palestinian, mostly women and children, in Gaza over the last 6 months is wrong, and there is no, you can't. I mean, there's no media that can actually cover up for this for too long.
Jazakallah, brother. I believe regardless of how any entity aims to silence, aims to dehumanize Gazans, Palestinians for that matter, it will never be successful, because in this day and age with social media, it's that easy to disseminate the truth online. And as long as we keep on corroborating, making sure it's not fake news, and we continue to spread it, the fight of the Palestinian people will never go to waste, inshallah, brother. Brother, could I also ask, in terms of hospitals being targeted, the healthcare system being almost destroyed, how is the local healthcare system coping? Because every day there's atrocities being committed. How are they coping with that?
Historically, Palestinian people are known of being resilient, and we have the word called sumud, which basically translate to English as resilience. So, and we continue to develop so many different forms of coping mechanism, basically to keep us living under this system of oppression, this system of apartheid, this system of segregation for over seven years. But it is utterly devastating to report that even the coping mechanism that what we go through now has been exhausted in Gaza, where you got a state-sponsored genocide that has been supported by the mainstream European countries, including us here in Australia, as well as the US, where they are covering up for them diplomatically. They are supporting them with the weapon an arm as we speak. So basically, it's ongoing again it's a system of dehumanization. Back to the question of healthcare system. Maybe if you've been following the news in the last 2 days, the Israeli occupation army has raided the main hospital in Gaza, which is totally destroyed, Shifa Hospital, and they have and reports about mass execution of people who were sheltering in the hospital, including medical staff, doctors. They're being abducted, kidnapped, taken to places that we are not aware where they are going. As I said earlier on, the 12 hospitals in Gaza are totally out of function now. There are reports of hundreds of nurses, doctors have been abducted, have been killed, have been taken away from their homes. We're talking about nurses who spend, including my own sister, who is a nurse in the southern part of Gaza, where they spend 36 hours non-stop caring for people, given whatever they have on the ground in terms of whatever facilities, whatever equipment, whatever medication they have on the ground to support their families. And then when their shift finishes, this long shift of 36 hours, they go back to try to seek food, water, drink for their own families. So I can report clearly that the hospitals, the medical sector, the medical health sector in Gaza is totally collapsed. So people either they are not going to get any treatment. talking about an entire generation of handicapped, disabled people, children being their legs being amputated without anesthetic, being taken without any relief, without any painkiller. So it's absolutely. Again, it's a shame that this is happening in 2024, where again people reporting what is happening to them without any concrete intervention, okay, or putting an end to the plight of the Palestinian people.
Definitely, it is difficult for us when we are the ones who are just watching it through our phones, through social media. But it's even we can't imagine how Gazans are actually facing it day in and day out. MashaAllah. Could I ask, brother, we have been watching, we've been hearing about the possibility of a port being built in Gaza for supposed humanitarian aid and so on. With links to that, could I ask on any updates that you know of on the displaced Palestinians and refugees in Gaza? Are they being slowly being moved into Egypt? Are they being pushed out and so on?
So basically, first on the reports of U.S., Israel, Emirati efforts basically to build a port in the central part of Gaza. The question that we don't need a port, okay. The question is that we need an entire entry and opening of the crossing land borders, especially from the neighboring country of Egypt, okay, where there is thousands of humanitarian aid trucks stuck at the other side of the borders and not allowed to enter Gaza. And this is a big shame, where you got an ICJ decision forcing governments to respect their treaties, to respect their obligation under the international law to prevent starvation, to prevent a genocide, a plausible genocide, as they call it in the ICJ, to get to Gaza. We've got all these trucks, hundreds, thousands of trucks at the other side of the borders, and because of the bureaucracy, because of the what they call as security checks, these humanitarian trucks are not allowed to enter to Gaza, and what is only allowed to get to Gaza is only a fraction of this. Gaza is, as you may know, has been living under a total blockade for the last 16 years. There is no one single human rights organization that has not written about the illegality, the inhumanity of this blockade, political blockade that is starved the people, that is strangled the people of Gaza, 2.3 million Palestinian people in Gaza, the majority of whom are children and women, refugees. Refugees, important to emphasize on this, who were displaced from their homes and villages. So back to the question of the port. So I think this is only just try to buy time, okay, and the main question should move toward ending the genocide. What we call what we need a ceasefire now to happen to save whatever left from the people in Gaza, and unconditional entry of the humanitarian aid. And it is absolutely disgusting, where we unfortunately we have to talk about humanitarian aid, okay, water, flour, milk for families that we need to allow. This should not be negotiated first place to allow people in Gaza. And back to also the other question about the displacement. Of course, we know this is from the very beginning, when Israel has waged unprecedented amount of fire, unprecedented shelling and killing of people from week one, when we say the ratio of Palestinian women and children being killed, and the destruction of people, civilians, homes, destroyed. 75% of the residential homes in Gaza totally obliterated by the US-backed money to Israel, and pushing the entire population of the north and the middle and the Gaza city to the south. We knew very well that this is a systematic ethnic cleansing process that is being orchestrated in front of our eyes, where people are being pushed down to the south. And that's why we have now 1.5 million living in a very tiny piece of land in Rafah at the top of each other, and whoever's trying to survive in the north are being again and again being forced to move to the south. Leave aside the ongoing UN reports of mass execution on the street. Okay, like in the last 2 days in the Rimal neighborhood, which is used to be a very vibrant, very crowded, very living neighborhood in Gaza, totally obliterated, and report of people being basically persecuted and executed in the street. So the fear, the anxiety of the mass displacement of the Palestinians project, it's happening. And it's important to mention, it is not only happening currently, it has been ongoing system of ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians from 1948 up to the moment as we are speaking. And that's why the Palestinian refugees constitute the largest refugee population around the world. We've got 6 million Palestinian and Israel refugees around the world, and Israel now is trying to make them even couple with another 2 million from Gaza to become 8 million Palestinian refugees in Gaza.
Correct me if I'm wrong, brother. I read somewhere on online that despite all the atrocities, despite the decades of punishment that's been exacted by Israel, obviously, Palestine has one of the highest literacy rates in the world. MashaAllah. As I mentioned, Allah only tests those whom He loves. Brother, in a closing question, could I just ask, I believe this is a question that many of us have on our minds. What are the most urgent needs in terms of aid for people in Gaza, and what can Perth Muslims do?
Thank you very much. This is a very good question. I think what we need to do as Perth Muslim community is to use our active voice. Needless to say that Gaza has gone through a number, 6 aggressions, let's say, in the last 16 years, and this one is unprecedented, never witnessed mass genocide, basically, of entire population in Gaza. What we need to do now is exercise our power, to exercise our voice, to write to our parliamentarians, to put extra pressure, okay, in our local MPs, basically to ask them. We've got still MPs who are not calling for a ceasefire. We got MPs who are not actually acting, to prevent genocide in Palestine. So that's really important for us to be active voice for Palestinians. Continue to organize for Palestine. Continue to organize more platforms like this in your own communities. We need more and more awareness about the plight of the Palestinian people, because it is only when if we look at the question of South Africa under apartheid in 1980s, it didn't come to an end just because the governments wanted to end it. It was like under pressure from the grassroots organization, from people like me and you, who said apartheid is wrong there and it has to come an end. And there was a systematic work, effort, solidarity, passion toward ending this apartheid. And we want the same thing in Palestine, because it is wrong. It is wrong that 6 million Palestinians continue to live under brutal occupation, apartheid, settler colonialism for over 6 decades. This is wrong, and it has to come to come to an end. So my message to the Muslim community is to be one active voice. Write to your parliamentarians, take a statement from them about what's happening in Gaza, about the starvation of the Palestinian children and women, about the killing of 13,000 Palestinian children, the destruction of the entire community. That's what we needed to be active and mobilize and advocate for a ceasefire, because it's good not only for the Palestinian but for the entire region. It's really important. Secondly, of course, organize more and more speeches, talks, raise awareness to your communities. Dua is important. Okay, we can't ignore the power of dua, but it has to be also combined by concrete measures, active action on the ground, to raise awareness and to respond to the plight of the Palestinian people. Of course, there will be a need for humanitarian aid. Okay, and whatever we send from here is just only a drop in an ocean about the need and the starvation and the destruction of the entire civilian population infrastructure. So again, active voice, write to your MPs, invite, mobilize, join groups that is supporting Palestine, and of course donate as much as you can, and help raise awareness about the question of Palestine.
Jazakallah, Brother Ayman. May we all benefit from all that has been shared from today's session, and may Allah bless your family and everyone else in Palestine and everyone who attends here for today's session, inshallah. Remember, our voice is really important. I think that's the start of it all, and then it will inshallah breed a less ignorant society, a less ignorant world, inshallah, and a united ummah, inshallah. MashaAllah. Thank you, Brother Ayman. Jazakallah. On behalf of the organizing committee, sir, Tuan Haji Adam would like to bring forth a token of appreciation to our guest speaker, Brother Ayman, and his family for being our guest speaker. Jazakallah for the sharing. Thank you, Brother Ayman and family. MashaAllah. Okay. Jazakallah.
Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for the sharing. Inshallah, may we benefit from it all. We will now wait for the azan for inshallah our breaking of fast. But before that, could I just get the kind help from the men to kind of shimmy over to this side a bit, because the women folk are a bit cramped. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khairan kathira. Just a reminder, anyone who hasn't taken your wudu, you can slowly make your way over to the wudu area to take ablution so that there won't be a bottleneck later on. We will begin with breaking fast with kurma and water, and subsequently we will go in for our Maghrib congregational prayer. Subsequently, there will be a feast which we will have in this open area right here. As you would have already seen, this area has been set aside for men. This area will be set aside for women. In the middle, it has been actually allocated for families who don't mind sitting on the floor. For those who can't really sit on the floor, we have also allocated some seats at the top right here for your convenience, inshallah. The Maghrib time for today will be 6:24 p.m. inshallah, and we shall wait for the azan then. Definitely in our feasting later on, I would like to kindly remind everyone to please keep the area clean and pristine, because this is our masjid, this is the house of Allah. So let's be reminded of that. Thank you so much. There are bins allocated at the side for us to clean up after we eat. There's dessert stations at the back later on, inshallah. After Maghrib, it would be set up. Coffee and tea stations are also set up for men and women, if I'm not wrong. For the children, I believe there's a play area at the back. We are the organizing committee for this year. We have managed to tie up with Under the Shade play group, I believe. They are a Muslim play group who are specialized, I think, for today. They have activities from 0 all the way to maybe 12. The activity coloring area, cutting up of paper, coloring, and so on and so forth. So for parents who wish to have your time on your own, this is your time. They're just over there. The colorful area are just in that corner right there. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have shade, but we don't need a tarp for today. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us with good weather, inshallah. For anyone who has not gotten your dates or your water, we should have gotten them from the front. If you have not gotten them, please proceed over, inshallah. The time now is 6:17. Maghrib will be 6:24. Brothers and sisters, later on after Maghrib prayer, we have a system where we could easily get our food. It will be one packet per person. It won't be in a tray or a dulang as we would know it. So the men will be coming out one saf at a time, getting their food from my left, your right, while the women will be getting their food from that side on my right, your left. So once you have gotten your food, you can have a seat over here and we can begin our feast as well. Yep. Inshallah, it will be orderly. Everyone will get our food. Inshallah, it will be in abundance. And please do not waste food. For those who have yet to get your drinks and kurma, there's still some at the front. Inshallah, for may Allah accept all our deeds and multiply our rewards in this blessed month. May this Ramadan be the best yet for all of us. Ameen. Everything good comes from Allah. Everything otherwise comes from us, His servants. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just a quick shout out to Radio Melayu Perth for covering this event today. MashaAllah. Thank you, Brother Fauzi, for coming down and helping us with coverage, live coverage for this ceremony. Thank you so much. Jazakallah. Bro, do I put it there? Can I pass it? Thank you.
Hey.